little badass, book badass. You little badass, you little badass, book club badass. Welcome to the show.
It's our favorite time of the week. Welcome to Babs for another amazing episode with your co-hosts, Ashley and Katie.
Yay, Badass Book Club.
What's up, you little badasses?
Ooh, I like that.
Me too.
It's the weekend. Can you guys tell?
But for you, it's Tuesday.
Well, obviously.
Because it takes time to do things.
Oh.
Just so that you know.
Yeah. Full disclosure and transparency.
That's what we are all about here.
So, Katie, here's the thing.
Yeah, let's do this.
How is this gonna go? Okay, we're gonna talk about your book. We're gonna talk about my book. And then we're gonna talk about a book I've been waiting for months.
Oh my gosh.
Has it been months?
Yes, and almost full transparency, we haven't really talked about it off pod either.
No.
Which has been a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't get too far, but I think it's more enjoyable, honestly, just kind of taking our time through it.
Well, if I remember correctly, last time we met, we did say we would be taking our time this week. We're not rushing it, and I'm happy for that. I think where we left off was a really good spot. We got up through chapter 12. Just
of
everybody.
Onyx Storm.
Yes, of Onyx Storm.
Onyx Storm, not Black Onyx.
Okay, well, Onyx Storm. We got through chapter 12. That's what we'll be talking about. If you haven't made it that far, then just full disclosure, we're going to share every detail.
Okay, so why do you think we said Black Onyx? Because, like, his soul was getting black, his eyes are black, Onyx means black. Onyx means black, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. If you Google Black Onyx, you get pictures of, like, rocks, which are black. It's onyx. So Onyx is black.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, but I think the whole
There's also another fantasy, I think, called Black Onyx, but I haven't read it yet.
Interesting. Okay, well, hey, let's get into it. How's your first book going?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, life kind of helped me slow my roll this week, which was good and bad. I mean, it was a tough week. And you know what? That's what a book club's about, too. Talking about all the stuff. It was a really rough week. Like, sometimes it's hard to fit it in, even if you enjoy it. So, not related, unrelated, entirely unrelated to last week's pod about the alien book, but I fit it in.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I will say, while we're talking about the rough week, I didn't start my individual read until like maybe 2 days ago. I got pretty far in it because it's actually a page turner. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's been one.
I'll be honest. First Lie Wins, great rec. And thank you so much to the friend who gifted this to me because it is a good one. And you're going to find out why for sure. I also tag teamed it with Audible. I'm enjoying it. Audible's kind of pricey, so you know, if you are a book addict, the subscription probably pays off. But I just wanted to be able to have this book in my life. And I'm kind of inspired, honestly. My grandma used to do it all the time. She would always be driving around Newport Beach, doing her jobs and stuff, visiting, you know, different people. And anytime I would see her and pop into her car, she'd have some crazy book going on. And now I know why. It's really enjoyable, and it kind of makes you want to get back into your car or when you're on the treadmill. I mean, that's kind of when I started it, honestly. Like, it is because I don't know about anybody else in the club, but going like this and like I'm nodding up and down.
Oh,
like,
I tried. I can't.
No, I get so motion sickness trying to multitask with a book that I either have to be someplace stationary enjoying it. Or listening to it now.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that.
Well, I will say I also jumped on Audible for Onyx Storm. Almost the entire portion of what we're up to. I read a couple chapters, but I really like it because you get to hear the pronunciations that the author intended, which in something like Onyx Storm is, I mean, I've read 2 books in the series already, and I'm like, oh, is that how we should be saying it?
Can't wait for you to correct me.
Interesting experience. Oh, I can't guarantee I remember everything. But it was nice to hear.
Fair enough. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And hopefully some of you guys, too, if you want to jump into some of these books, there are other modalities to do it. Feel free and share your opinions or share your resources for sure. So this one, once again, was First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. the person that was reading it on Audible kind of had a little bit of a Southern drawl, which was kind of fun. I also came to find out, though, that I had to do like 1.2 speed to match the pace of how I like to receive information. I do like that feature of being able to speed it up a little bit.
Yes.
So I got up to chapter 17, which is pretty fun. But I wanted to introduce this one a little differently this week.
Exciting.
So exciting. It's not necessarily a game, but I'm turning it into one. It's called What Would Ashley Do?
Oh, I like this new game of Katie read a book and what would Ashley do?
WWAD. I mean, if any of these intrigue you, you can ask me as well.
Well, a fun fact for our listeners and viewers, I love stuff to be about me. This is why we make such a great team. Go on.
I love things being about you. It's fun, especially when I get to ask the questions. Okay, so if you were in love with someone with a tight-knit childhood friend, I don't mean like... I probably should have put that sentence together.
If I was in love with someone, go on.
You know what I mean.
Go on.
With a tight-knit childhood friend group, okay?
Oh.
And it was like your first impression. How would you act? And what if they were protective and came from a lot of money?
Oh.
Okay, so you are into somebody, you're meeting, like you have to meet the friends.
Okay.
You know that they're close-knit. And like I said, they come from money.
I've had an experience like this before.
Cool.
Okay, and so what's the question? What would I, like, how would I act?
Yeah, like what would you be your, how would you want your first impression to be?
Okay.
Do you care about it?
Okay.
And like, would you have like a plan of attack?
Okay. I think because I do want to make a good impression, if I like this person and these are their people, I am going to be genuine to an extent. I think I would probably reserve. Normally when I'm having a conversation, I'm kind of like, don't really think about it, just like let things fly. So I think in this case, I would be a little bit more reserved. I would think about what I was going to say, and I would try to be agreeable, which, I mean, that might say something about me, but I think I would just be as much as myself as I felt comfortable. And it really, really, really depends on what I'm getting back from these people. So how they are acting in return, I'm going to play off of that. But at first, I think I'm going to be a little reserved.
They're digging. You know they're digging.
Oh, they're digging? Like they want to know about me? Are they looking for
ammunition, holes, or just like,
I
or
see.
that
It's
sincerity.
like an interview or
maybe a little bit.
Oh, okay.
To see if you are of their group, if you belong.
If I belong. Oh, that's so stressful. I think I belong. So I think
you'd still be you.
I think I'd still be me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might approach it that way.
Yeah.
But okay. And so this kind of just gives you an idea of the character development.
Okay.
Okay. So if your mother was dying from cancer, sorry, I have to. If your mom was dying from cancer and couldn't afford the bills, what would you do?
What would I do?
Like, how desperate would you be, and what would your side hustle be?
Specifically?
Yeah. Let's go there. I want
Feet
to
pics.
go. Oh,
no,
yes.
I mean, assuming that, worst case scenario, what lengths would you go to? I'm not going to run into a bank and rob it because I feel like in this day and age, that's just not practical. We need to still be around so the mother in this case, once we get the money, she's still going to need support. So I'm not going to do something that's going to endanger like my freedom or my life, but pretty much anything up to that.
Okay.
I'm going to do if it means.
And you're in high school.
Oh.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yes.
I think I would definitely get a job.
Yeah.
But if I had to make some extra money, hey, YouTube, I would probably, maybe not stop at feet pics.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so I think you're starting to get an idea of this character,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. My next question. If you were caught stealing from a high-end country club, like credit card accounts, you got taken by the cops and given a chance to go or go deeper into crime, what would you do? So essentially, this kind of gives you an idea that this chick she's going down the path of like stealing things.
So like fraud or stealing. Okay.
Yeah. So she's at this country club, and you get these vignettes of her life, which is very interesting. And she's doing that credit card scam where you put it in, and then small amounts, and then basically the cops she's caught. They had suspected, so they kind of set it up to catch somebody, end up catching her, and then the guy whose account would like have to press charges, apparently he doesn't want his wife to see other things on his account.
Oh, I like that.
So he works a deal with the detective to kind of let her go.
Oh, that's nice.
But then she gets a call from this anonymous person
okay.
who we come to call Mr. Smith.
Okay.
And he basically goes, "We've been watching you. You're pretty good. You can either go or you can go in this direction with us."
Okay, well, if I don't have any kids, hey, Mr. Smith, my new best friend, we're in business.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Wait, but my mom still has cancer.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have stopped there. She's died at this point.
Oh, we're with Mr. Smith all the way.
Okay. If you became a high-end crook, how would you protect yourself? Like, what would you do if, like, okay, so you're working for somebody else, but would you put anything into place to give yourself extra protection?
I mean, I think if there was any opportunity along the way, I would try to be having consistent, like, backup plans and just, like, modes of, let's say I need to stash some money away where this boss doesn't know about it. Or let's say I'm, doing sketchy things physically, like I'm going to have a weapon if I can. Or just, like, in little situations here and there, I'm always going to be thinking of protecting myself if I'm in this dangerous situation.
Okay. Oh my gosh, great. And the last thing, so then there's this scene where she has a job. So it's this whole plot, like we come to find out through the twists and turns that she ends up becoming this I don't want to say spy because she's this thief for this higher echelon, and she's also trying to get, information. It's basically
This sounds like a great book.
It really is. And I'll get more into it in a moment, but I want to see what you would do because I have a point. I'm going to bring it home. Don't worry. If you were like, okay, so there's a scene where she has a target and she feels really sorry for this guy because she meets this wife. And this wife is this plastered drunk. And she gets into their house by becoming like the au pair or the nanny. And this poor little boy, like, he needs his mommy. And his mommy is not well. She's an addict, clearly. And this husband cares for her. And you could see the pain in his eyes. And then, she's doing this job of like trying to steal stuff. And she's caught by this woman while she's drunk. And this woman slips in the bathroom because she's in the bathroom and ends up like cracking her head and bleeding. And so she has this clear getaway where she could just leave and this, woman dies, doesn't have to worry about it. But the kid. So there's all these like little moments where it's like you see her heart. So even though she's gone down this path, she has probably more of a soul and compassion and empathy than helps her in this position. And so on the phone, because she doesn't like really know who Mr. Smith is, and there's different people that work with her with Mr. Smith. Basically, her contacts say, "Get out. Just leave. Just go. This worked out great for you, actually."
Right.
And she couldn't imagine the little boy and leaving the little boy there, finding his mom and all this kind of stuff. So she ends up calling the husband and saying there's been an accident. Like, I've got to go. I have a personal thing I need to take care of. And ends up essentially like saving this woman's life by doing that. But she jeopardizes everything in the process.
Right.
So if you were in that situation and there's a kid involved, but it could be your livelihood, would you make the call? Like, what would you do?
How old is the kid?
Young.
I would probably make the call.
Make the call.
I mean,
hard, eh? I mean, Ashley.
Like, is he safe
well,
in the time
that was the
being,
thing, too.
Like, is the dad coming home in a couple hours? Like, I don't know. And how much money are we getting away with? You know what I mean? Like, is it just
jewelry kind of stuff?
Oh, okay. And she's been doing this, and it might just mean her demise if she sticks around. I mean, honestly, if dad is coming home that day, like, let's say he's out of town or something.
Yeah.
I would make the call. If he's coming home in a couple hours, I'd probably just leave, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So the reason why I wanted to say all of these things. Oh, wait. One more question.
Yeah.
And for you two listeners, if you were fighting feelings for a target,
Ooh.
what would you do?
Honestly, the target is probably well off, right? I feel
Yep,
like we
this
can
one
make
is.
this work. I feel like we can somehow make this work. I've been devious and deceiving people my whole life.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like I could somehow make that work.
Okay.
Like, maybe the target is the man, and that's the goal now.
Okay. I love it.
Okay.
What would Ashley do?
Yeah.
What would you do? That's what
take
she
the
would
money
do.
and run and leave the poor child to find his dead mother.
But it's also the question, though, like, is he better off without her anyway?
Oh, totes. I'm just thinking about that one traumatic moment.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up all those questions is because Ashley Elston does an exceptional job of weaving all these like spider web intricate things and little vignettes into the story as she's developing the character to make you go, oh, what would I do? And when this book starts off, it's kind of fun because, well, actually, I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of it to begin with because you only get part of the story, obviously. And it's this girl that is trying to, ingratiate herself into this guy's world. And he kind of seems like a good guy, a preppy guy. And you're like, okay, where's this going to go? It almost seems like a more appropriate rom-com. And then she starts to say little things. And that's when, you get to know about what the first lie means. And you get these layers of she's not who she says she is, clearly. She's playing him.
Gotcha.
And it's almost like this almost psychopathic like playbook of manipulation.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that was my first impression when you jump in. You're like, oh. And it made me a little uncomfortable because I was like, I don't want to think that girls are necessarily doing this. And I know of some girls that probably do. And I was you get that yucky feeling where you're like, oh, she's like not a great person. And then you get these other layers where like she pretended to rent an apartment and the main guy character at the time, his name's Ryan. And you get this idea that like he's really smitten on her. And she even made up how they were going to meet. Like it was a cute story, but she had actually been watching him, observing him. And then you're also kind of like, ooh, where's this going? Like, how has she been watching him? And then you put yourself into this kind of like spy mode. And then the author does an excellent job of making you think, okay, so what is he up to? Why is she doing this? And then you want the lies to work. You're like, okay, you become team. At this point in the story, it's Evie Porter. And so you're thinking, okay, you know what? I kind of like you. I kind of want this to work for you because maybe something isn't right with him. But then you also have oh no, he does seem like a good guy and she's kind of falling for him. And then you get the layers and the vignettes of, oh no, she used to steal money. She's setting him up. But then there's this extra layer of, he's maybe not who you think he is.
Interesting. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And you want to know more, which is kind of cool. And then you're almost like, okay, how's it? For me, I'm a problem solver. So I'm already like steps ahead trying to be like, I want to know who's pulling the strings. Is he going to fall for it? Is he actually Team Evie? Does he care? Is he Mr. Smith?
Is he Mr. Smith?
But the Mr. Smith thing started way before, and you almost go, or is Mr. Smith actually a woman? Or who is this? Because it's just been like a robotic voice. But it almost seems too good, like he's too smart or something else is going on where it keeps you guessing. And so Ashley, it's like, it is good. I recommend it. Obviously Reese Witherspoon did. So
it's reminding me too of like the Talented Mr. Ripley, which I really liked.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, that's a pretty dark version probably, but just the whole manipulation, planning who I'm gonna like.
Okay, so the beginning is totally those vibes, which is great. And then it twists. And then you're like, and then through the vignettes you learn more about her past jobs and how she's almost stuck, but also how she's freaking clever and smart. And that's why I asked the question of like, how would you also protect yourself? She is trying to do that as well, but she also sees holes in her thinking. So she has somebody else on the side that she's created a relationship with, not romantical, but in a way where like he helps her and is like this MIT brilliant dude.
Oh, that's a good idea of protection.
Yeah, it's really good. That's why I was like, I wonder what Ashley would do.
Yeah, I would get one of those too.
But the cool thing is like a lot of the things that you said, the character kind of leans into some of those things as well. So I just love when a writer, when you have so much going on, but a writer is able to make it work. It doesn't seem like as pushed in as some of the books we've read together in the past. It's almost flawless. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, what's happening? Wait, what just happened? And then you're like, I want to know. I want to know what happens next. And that's been really fun for the Audible. And that's why I said like, I want to get into my car. I want to do like chores around the house so I can pop it in, you know?
Yeah.
And reading it when I can, of course, because I do like reading the text and having my own voices.
Yeah.
And when you do listen to somebody else's voice, it's very hard to get it out. For me, I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an experience. Like when I started Onyx Storm, we'll talk about it more, but just the whole having someone else's voice and not my own reading it, I was like, oh, this is going to take me a minute to get
Adjust.
in there.
Yeah. Cool. Anyways, any questions or are you intrigued?
I'm actually really intrigued. This is something that is up my alley.
I think so.
And things you're talking about like are relatable as well as relevant because I'm on this like little thriller thing myself. But yeah, that's really exciting. So do you have any predictions? It sounds like this is a book that's asking for predictions.
Well, I think the only thing that I'm like really thinking about is who is Mr. Smith.
Right.
And because like you want to know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Like who's the man behind the curtain?
Right.
So many
We can't get it.
to it. I can't
just
get
wait.
Wizard of
Just
Oz.
wait.
Oh no, Ashley.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was also going to say too, so like, is there a romantic plot at all or it's just use and abuse?
I mean, okay,
like,
so kind of because like it is this use and abuse, but then you kind of go, is Ryan also using her, but you don't know?
So are they a match made in heaven
Like,
because they're both...
Okay, so you want it to be, and that's what I'm going to make my prediction be as.
Cool.
That maybe there's more to Ryan than we know. His buddy Rachel, who he doesn't really like, is this badass lawyer who you're starting to like because she just came to Evie's rescue when Mr. Smith tries to basically be like, I have more control of your life than you think by having enough information leaked where she gets arrested for that wife who was bleeding. So maybe she didn't survive. Maybe I skimmed over that part. But or attempted murder. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
But that's where we're at, where she's hauled in. And so she calls the only lawyer she knows, which is Ryan's not best friend, but part of Ryan's group, Rachel, who you're like, I do not like Rachel. Because Rachel's the one who's been trying to like catch Evie.
But it sounds like Evie needs to be caught.
Well, the thing is, so I'm like, I don't like Rachel because you don't want Evie to be caught. But at the same time, Rachel's actually being that friend because Evie isn't the good person.
Right.
You just want her to be this good person.
Interesting. Isn't that fun how you're like reading in somebody's shoes and they're like literally killing a mom and you're like, come on, go girl.
It's crazy. It is nuts. That's why I wanted to ask what you would do in these situations before, you know. So she basically starts stealing jewelry from different people when she's a teenager. You know, she gets into like petty theft, but actually maybe felony theft a little bit. And mom doesn't know about it but she's so clever in how she does it. I mean, she's a smart kid. She's doing dumb stuff, but she's smart. So you kind of like respect her.
Oh no, I'm already loving Evie. Put it on my list, honestly, my very long list.
So Evie's real name's Luca Marino.
Ooh.
And stuff gets crazy when Mr. Smith sends somebody else as Luca Marino to see her.
Imposter
Imposter of an imposter.
I'm intrigued.
But then she dies. So
does
Mr. Smith kill her?
Oh my
Who
goodness.
kills her?
Does Evie?
No, she didn't.
Oh, okay.
But maybe by like confronting her, twisty turns.
There's a lot.
Anybody named Ashley, I'm just saying.
I know. I can't wait to write my twisty turny.
Okay, so I'm going to put this down for now.
Okay. Put it down. That was great.
Your turn.
Okay, it is
Passing
my
the bookmark.
turn. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we're like right on the same page. This is The Only One Left, Riley Sager.
Riley, boy or girl?
Well, funny question, because this whole time I was reading, I got up to chapter 27 for those following along.
Wow.
I was just reading with the assumption that the writer was a female, and I did tag them on Instagram today and discovered that it's a male, which doesn't change anything, except I feel like when I'm reading something, especially from a woman's perspective, I'm like kind of curious to see how that perspective is represented depending on, boy or girl author, which
yeah.
I don't know. That's just naturally something that I do. So long story short, just so you have an idea of what's going on, we have a caregiver, Kit.
Cool.
Yeah, and she's a nice gal. She's
Old, young?
Oh, she's in her early 30s. One thing I should mention is the book takes place in the early to mid 80s, which I didn't know, but it's totally fine. More relevant than what I've been reading. However, we are getting, it wouldn't be me if we weren't getting some snippets of 1929.
Really? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. And I totally didn't expect it. And it's actually fine because it's in an interesting way. We're getting flashbacks to a murder that happened in 1929. But still, they're talking about Black Tuesday, the crash of the stock market. And I'm like, wait, I was just at Black Sunday with the dust.
So Ashley, how did you find this one?
This one was actually a book that I've been meaning to read for quite some time. So it was just on my list. I knew it was a thriller.
It wasn't the universe being like, okay, Ashley, you're going to love this.
No, it wasn't. But while we're talking about it,
Wizard of Oz.
I think of reading The Picture of Dorian Gray in high school. They shout out The Picture of Dorian Gray, which was my last read.
This is not real life. We are in the Matrix.
This is the ultimate simulation.
But we're in it together.
Yeah.
Or are you?
I mean,
are we?
Are we here? Pinch me. But yeah, no, we're here. And and anyway, I just really, when I opened it up to, it's maybe it's part of a story that's being told. And when we found out the date was 1929, I was just kind of taken aback, if you will.
Were you laughing?
I was
so hard.
I was laughing, and maybe I should just embrace this.
So that's when the murder was, 1929?
Yeah. So
and what's
getting
it called
back
again?
on track.
I'm so sorry.
The only one left, which represents the only one in the family who wasn't murdered, which leaves some questions open. Was she the murderer? While I have the book open, let me start out with the quote that I posted for those of you who haven't had a chance to see it on Instagram yet. We have a fun little rhyme.
It's so just so you guys know too, we tag team the Instagram. We do that. So it's kind of funny because I'll go on and I'll be like, ooh, that's a good quote, because we try to save the conversation for when we get here with you guys, which sometimes is a little more challenging than others. But because I just wanted to be I wanted to comment on it so badly. And then I realized it would be us commenting on our own.
Commenting on that.
Yeah. So it sounds great. Keep going.
Okay. So for anybody who missed it or isn't on Instagram, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life.
I love it.
Yeah. And
is that a child song? Is it what is it?
It is. It's like a rhyme you would hear on the playground.
Based off the family tragedy.
So just really quick, Kit is a caregiver. She has a past. One of her patients, she's not a nurse, but we still call them patients, passed away, and there were some questionable circumstances. So she was put on leave. And 6 months later, there was an investigation that was complete and she was good to go. Her employer couldn't fire her, but they did have the option to assign her to this case that nobody would want, which is caring for the only one left. The woman, Lenora, who's in the rhyme, who Kit actually knows this rhyme because it's all this town story.
Cool.
She learned it herself. She didn't realize that it was so recent, though, that she could still interact with the person who was accused of these murders. In her head, she's like, oh, this must have happened a century ago. But really, Lenora's there needing help. She's a stroke victim. She's had a lot of health problems.
Of
But
course.
Kit is assigned to her.
Is she really sick though? Did she really have a stroke?
Well, we will find out,
oh
won't
my
we?
God. Yes, I love it. Deception.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. Right now, Kit has been in the house. It's a live-in position, of course, for a couple of weeks.
Can you describe the house?
Yes,
I want a
it's-
mental like, does it look like the cover?
Well, if you're not watching, the cover does show a house, and the description makes it sound a lot bigger even than this. It's 3 stories. So it was built in the 20s. The father of the family was super duper rich. The mother was too. She had old money on her side, but the father was new money. And this house is huge. I believe they say okay, I don't want to mess this up, but I think they say 36 rooms. Like, it's big.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and she walks in, and it is
creepy.
kind of
creep vibes.
It's totally creep vibes. It's literally slanted because it's on an ocean cliff. So her room is actually slanted. When she wakes up in the morning, and it's not a bad room, it's just her mattress will be like an inch lower, like slanted than where it was when she fell asleep.
Could you handle that? Could you handle being in something like that?
I tried because we talk about like the unsteadiness. She feels like she's had a couple of drinks just walking through the hallway. It's like she's on a ship. It's really like, I don't personally know. Like, I'm dizzy here.
Like, touche.
Yeah. So personally, no. But we're learning a lot. There's a small staff that's kept on. Money has run out. A mother, a father, and a sister, as the rhyme said, were all killed. Lenora was not charged with anything. She was 17, as the rhyme says, at the time. And
the youngest?
She was actually the older sister. So she had a younger sister. The sister was only maybe a year or 2 younger. There's not a big age gap between them.
And they died that way.
And they died. So the sister was found hanging from a rope, yes. And the mother and father were both stabbed. Throughout the house, there's a couple, there's still blood marks Kit has encountered. It used to be like this huge, like bustling, tons and tons of servants, they say in the book, but just employees.
An active house.
Yes. And now we're down to, I think it's 4 employees. And as we learn more about the house and the creepiness of it, there's talk of ghosts. Some say that the sister who was hung is haunting the place. The reason Kit is there is because the previous caregiver disappeared overnight. Everyone's like, oh, she left overnight. Something, must have come up with her family. Kit's like, I'm a caregiver. You don't just leave your patient.
So it's a whodunit also.
It is a whodunit. So now that we're in the house, Lenora, who's in her, let's say 70s. I think she's 71.
So she's still capable.
Well, she's not. This is why she needs a caregiver. She is in a wheelchair. She has had several strokes. She can use her left hand just a little bit, enough to communicate 1 tap no, 2 taps for yes.
Oh, whoa.
And she can't walk. She can't use her right hand, allegedly. She can hardly pick up her head. She can't use the restroom. She can't bathe herself. She can't get in and out of bed. Kit is there for everything.
So it's kind of like you don't think somebody would be playing at that.
You don't. But funny you should say that because we might have that case.
What?
So there is a little bit more and Kit is learning this as we go along. There's a typewriter in her room. And we find out that Mary, who's the missing caregiver from just before Kit, was actually using that typewriter to communicate with Lenora, because the big question is, what happened on that night when the family was murdered? There was never anybody who was charged. She was let go. She didn't talk. What's going on? So, and there are actually still 2 employees who work in the house, the chef and she calls herself housekeeper. She doesn't clean. She just manages the estate, Mrs. Baker. So Archibald the chef, Mrs. Baker, both still live there, and they were there
when it happened.
When it happened, not the night of the murder, because of course, conveniently, everybody was off that night,
except for the family.
Right. And
was Lenore home?
Yes. And so the book starts out with her recounting having a knife and getting rid of it. I think she threw it into the ocean. So it recounts her being there,
but after the murder.
So it recounts her there the night of the murder covered in blood, but it doesn't say what happened during that time.
Oh, cool.
Now, Kit has found out that Lenora can communicate more than what she's showing everybody else. And she can actually type with her left hand just a little bit. Kit has to return the
Move it,
page
yeah.
to get it back to a new start. And she
Because
has
it's
to
the
help
80s,
with
so they didn't really have computers and
exactly.
things
She
like
has
that.
to hold shift or
Mhm.
whatever to get capitals and, do whatever. So
I'm in. I love it.
She does have to help, but Lenora wants to tell her story and she wants to tell Kit. Well, Kit thinks she's so special, but then she finds out she actually told the whole story to Mary via the typewriter, and then Mary went missing like the night she got the full story. So we are getting, as I'm reading, the perspective is mostly Kit, but we're also getting typed out pages of Lenora telling the story. So we're getting
Whoa.
filled in, like Lenora was 17 and she was pregnant by the married groundskeeper. And,
Whoa.
there's just a lot of details coming in. But the big scheme of things, it's whodunit. Who did those original murders?
Right.
And what's going on weird in the house? Like somebody killed Mary. The
Right.
police say she killed herself. But did she? I mean, I haven't said it yet, but Kit actually ends up finding Mary's body over the cliff. She sees
That's what I was going to say. There's got to be like cliff water murder somehow.
Oh, it's a very scary whole terrace situation. For some reason, the wall around the terrace is very short, so it's
Of course.
dangerous. The house is slanted. You could just fall over accidentally.
What? Okay.
It's a mess. I mean, a
you
piece
have
of the
that
cliff
much
falls
money
off.
and this is your house.
Well, because this was in 1929 and nobody has worked since then. She's run out of money. It does talk about how the housekeeper has had to sell off like some art and things like that just to keep things going.
Wow.
There's a possible grandchild because there was that pregnancy and there might be somebody who's an inheriting
or
person.
killing.
So there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of maybe motives for killing this person or that person. But really the big thing is Kit is hearing footsteps. She swears someone's moving around in Lenora's room, but every time she peeks in, it's just Lenora there sleeping. So there's something amiss. Is it a ghost? Possibly.
How graphic are the murders and stuff in here?
I would say if like you're thinking of reading it, it's not really too gory. At least it hasn't been yet, but I also haven't gotten to the description of the actual murder itself from Lenora's perspective. So, but it's just, little blood, little stabbing. It's not really that grotesque.
Seems good for a movie or a short series.
Yeah, it does. So I'm at a point right now where we don't know really who's done it. And I think we're about to find out like who did it back in the day. But I know there's going to be a big twist. Because I've heard about the book that the end is supposed to be this big thing.
Good writing? Good writing?
Yeah, the writing is really good. I would say that right when I started off, I wanted to keep turning the page, which is a book I like, especially when it comes to thrillers. I don't need this whole like build up. So we get right into it the night that Lenora's like throwing the knife or whatever. And Kit's stories, her mother passed away of cancer. Not to laugh at that, but
the coincidence.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I mean, this is a page turner too, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, there's some similarities for sure. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I actually last night was like, I could finish it, but I don't want to rush it. So I'm just going to save the other half for
So we'll both be done by next time, which is fun. And then, so you had made the comment about gender and, does this writer do a good job then must have done a good job of portraying a woman or a woman's thinking?
I thought so too. Well, we're not like, the character development is good enough as it needs to be. Like, I don't feel like anything's missing, but it's not like this. It's not like we're writing about like longing or anything like that. It's kind of matter of fact. There's not a whole lot of feelings. So he's definitely doing a good job. I was kind of surprised. I don't know why, but when I did see that it's a man, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess because both perspectives are from a female. And I mean, obviously that happens often, but it's not what I was picturing.
Now that we're not both of us getting back into literature, but me personally getting back into books, it's kind of nice to, I feel like this is something that is really ringing true. Is like, you don't have to be a man to write a good woman book or a woman to write, from a man's perspective. However, I do think it's a little bit less. I haven't yet read a woman taking on a man's role yet. I mean, a woman author doing that.
Right.
But so far, I guess, if you're a good writer, you're a good writer. You understand perspective. You understand the differences that different genders might have, which is kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm trying to think in The Antidote that Karen Russell, she wrote like
his grandpa,
a little bit.
The war and stuff?
A farmer and the grandpa, but really they were just still ancillary characters.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Interesting.
Mhm.
I'm kind of any badasses out there who knows of a woman, a book where it's a guy's perspective. Really curious. Want to know some of those recs for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Something we can pick up. Something I will say that happened on TikTok when I posted about this book. I think it might have been super popular like last year. So I don't really know. But when I don't even remember when it came out. But people are like, oh, it's the best book I've ever read. So I'm not really sure if I'm ready to say that yet. But then I'm only about halfway, just over halfway through. So we'll see what happens.
Who do you think murdered the person?
Predictions.
Or the family.
Predictions. Okay, so we're right now leaning to say like Lenora isn't as incapacitated as she has led on these whole years. I actually don't think it's Lenora because of the whole rhyme thing. I think that's just too obvious. There is a groundskeeper now, Carter, who took the job unbeknownst to the people who hired him because he thinks he might actually be an heir to the fortune, even though there's not much fortune left. He thinks he is the grandson of Lenora. And I don't know how or why yet, but I feel like he is responsible for Mary's murder. Perhaps, which is the woman
so it could be a couple murders.
Well, because whoever murdered the family, I don't think is the same person who murdered Mary. I mean, unless it was Lenora, I don't know. It still could be some of the help who did that, but I don't think that's the case. I think Carter, the groundsperson, murdered Mary, and I think as far as back in the day, we're learning about like the father of that baby that Lenora was pregnant with. I'm kind of leaning towards him, who was also a groundskeeper. So maybe there's just like something there.
Because he'd be in his 70s, maybe, or older. Was he older?
Well, I think he's the one who murdered the family back in the day, which he was like in his 20s then.
Because she's the only survivor.
And maybe he spared her because she was pregnant. We don't really know how that relationship ended yet, but pregnant with his child, so maybe that's why she got to live. And then I think Carter, who is the current groundskeeper, so there's like a theme of groundskeepers, is the newer murderer of Mary.
Groundskeeper Willie.
Murderer. Actually, very nice guy.
Yeah, it seems like it, right? I like that. Okay, that's awesome. So real quick, because you were talking about so much different information, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around things because the styles of the authors have been very different from the books.
Yes.
When you're getting this other information, is it still through Kit's perspective?
So we're getting Kit's perspective, and then we're getting a typed out version of events from Lenora that she actually had written to Mary. At first, we think we're getting it written to Kit, but then we find out because she says specifically Mary that this is actually the typed out portion she wrote to Mary, and Mary had that full, complete story the night that she killed herself.
Did she just like find
killed.
Mary's stuff?
So the book doesn't really it's just an aspect of the book. Like it's not like Kit stumbled upon the document and is including it. It's just like we're getting a breakdown of that section of the story from the murder day or leading up to those events.
I like that.
And then we're getting like a portion. It's kind of like in Onyx Storm how we get a little bit of text about like what should we be thinking about.
Got it.
And then we get present day,
mean
what's
like
going on.
The little pre-chapter things about, okay, cool. I like that.
Like the excerpts.
Yeah,
so
nice.
It's kind of similar. It's just like we get, it's a longer excerpt of like the story that was written by Lenora, and then we jump into Kit, like how does that relate?
Badass.
It's fun. So chapter 27 through the end of the book, I'm excited.
And I liked your segue too, how you just kind of dropped in Onyx Storm. Onyx Storm.
Well, it reminded me.
Heck yes, Onyx Storm. Now we have our big books.
We do. Not an ad. 30% off cover prices at Target.
Hey.
I think I'll just leave that there for now.
We're just sharing relevant elevation information.
It's true.
It's true.
So, where I got the book. Now, I'm really excited. One, because I haven't read Rebecca for a while. I was a little rusty. We did do that sort of
How's
recap.
It feel, Ashley, to be back in her?
Really good. I've stayed away from any commentary online because I don't want any spoilers.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because that's what ruined Jack for me. I wasn't in the second book. Okay, so obviously if you've made it this far with us, you know that there may be spoilers. So there we go. There's our cautionary tale.
Yeah, we're up through chapter 12 today.
Of the third, the only third. But I had gone on and I was just trying to find out how Liam had gotten injured the first time because I was like, wait, I thought that was Jack. And it was. I was correct with that. But then it described Jack as being Venom. And I was so pissed because I hadn't gotten to that part yet.
Right.
And
That's a big surprise in the book.
It's a big reveal. Yeah. So, yeah, stay away.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because I was getting into it and I was like wondering, how are other people? So let us know how you were feeling. How are other people feeling about this first couple of chapters? Because it's been so long for me since I've been in the world, since I've been in, just their lives. And I was starting to feel like maybe I remembered it better than it was. And we can talk about that because I'm really happy with where we're at now. And I'm like super excited to keep reading. But in the prologue and just the first couple of chapters, I was just kind of like, I don't want to say cheesy, but maybe because I've been outside of the world for so long, it took me a little time to like get back in it.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Someone else who I know who read Onyx Storm before we dove into it had told me, I said, okay, no spoilers, but what's your opinion? Does it hit as good? And they said it's slower.
Okay.
That it is slower. And so much has been developed and honestly, I would hate to put that pressure on an author anyway.
Oh, I don't expect anything more from Rebecca. Allegedly, we still have 2 books left. She hasn't written yet. Take your time,
really?
girl. Yeah, I've heard that she said, and she does a lot of interviews. I haven't watched them because I don't want to, again, spoil anything. But I think there's going to be a total at some point of 5 books.
Okay.
So maybe there's a lot of information to draw out there.
I like how you told her, though, like, take your time. And girl, please do. And my concern the first 100 pages, same. I was kind of worried. I was like, well, just because it's becoming so big, are you going to lose your writing style? Are you going to lose the ability to stay true to the characters how we love them? Like sometimes when a series goes too long, you reach for things or you go into directions that maybe aren't so great to go in, And the truth is, it's her world. She can do whatever she wants with it.
Right.
But I have become attached to certain things. And even though I like the style of, oh my gosh, somebody's dead and I hate that you did that, there are other things that you could do to drag on the series, but I don't want to see that happen.
Right. And I will say too, just that first 4th wing, you're learning everything's new. So there's so much to describe the worlds. There's just, just images and things like that.
Yeah.
There's so much that she did there, and she perfectly intertwined just like personalities and what goes on at school, the military school. And, there's just so much laid out for you there. And she had such a great way of doing that without making it confusing, without making you go back and say, hey, what's that? I mean, a couple of times I had to do this and that with the names of things. But now, and it might be just the introduction of like the Griffin writers, there are just a lot more elements as we get to learn more.
I didn't think about that.
About what's going on and the truth about what's out there and the truth about like history. Violet's learning more. We're learning more. And for me, it's a lot to follow, which doesn't mean it's not good writing.
You know what, though? With that perspective, because I didn't have that perspective, and you make such a good point, it's very focused. 4th wing is very focused. Yes, it's a big world. Yes, there are all these themes that you're introduced to, but it's still focused on the goal of surviving your first year at the War College with surprises along the way.
Right.
And sexiness. You've got that too, which is great. So there's enough and so many layers that you thought then. And the reality is the territory is expanding. So she has to figure out a way to deal with all of that and still keep it focused and still keep you entertained and still remain with the main characters while sharing the much bigger picture. And maybe that's really what the 100 pages are. I mean, I didn't not like, I love double negatives. I liked it, but it was a little bit harder to get into. Also, this week was harder for me. As you know, sometimes everybody had got a week like that, But that being said, when we told each other, okay, where are we going to end? I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
Because, like, it got good.
Yeah.
It, like, it was like, okay, you set the scene, you did enough building, now let's go.
Exactly. From like page like 60 something, maybe 70 on to 109 that we got to, that was what did it for me. I mean, obviously I was going to keep reading and I'm still like really want to know like what's going to happen here and there. But those like 30 or so pages, I was like, okay, here's Rebecca that I remember and love. And not that I
Yeah.
didn't like those first few pages, but it was just like, okay, the action is here. Let's go.
Right. And you know what? I do think, though, that a storyteller has to take breaks from action at times. You know?
Can't be just
Yeah,
nonstop.
because that in itself was the quest where we left off too, where it was finding a cure, blah, 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 blah. And once again, it was, you know what? You know what I think it was? It was her inventive way of building the sexy tension again. Because you can't do the same thing twice.
That's true. And I was...
Did you feel that, though?
Yeah. Like, I'm glad you're bringing it up because I did. There was this part, even we can talk about it because we're here now. So, like, this whole thing about how Xaden and Violet can't do it because he's going to lose control and siphon all of her energy out of her.
Yeah.
That whole thing is just like, to me, I'm like, okay, so you guys can't have sex for maybe a year or two. Like, chill. Like, what's the big deal? But they're so passionately in love and yearning for each other's touch that, like, it's this big make
Ashley.
or break.
You know what that feels like.
I know, but it's just like, what are you trying to say? We can't be together now because, like, we can't have sex for a little while?
Quite mature.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a mature concept.
Yeah.
At least that's what she's thinking, you know, but he doesn't want to hurt her. So there is that level. And, you know, I don't hate going back to it, but I have to say the obvious. Military, you know, you do have soldiers coming back with PTSD.
Yeah.
You have soldiers coming back who are injured and hurt and worried that they will lose control because they've lost the ability and are worried of hurting people that they care about. And I always wonder if there's a little bit of that influence in there, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's really interesting.
You know what I mean?
You're so good at finding that thread.
Well, you know.
Yeah, because I'm reading it like, okay, so what? They have to, you know, digitize for a little while. What's the big deal?
But then they take that away.
Yeah, and then that was too much as well. So in my
and
head,
for all of those of you who are like, Ashley and I are doing a lot. You probably hear it in our voices, but we're doing a lot of hand movements.
Yeah,
and there's a specific scene where they start to get hot and heavy, but they have to stop and they look at the headboard, and you know, there's a little bit of the siphoned energy or whatever.
Yes, and then I mean, it's obviously getting worse for Xaden too. Like everybody. Pretty much, I mean, Taryn's the first to say it. Like, he can't be saved. Move along.
I love Taryn. He's like, you know what? Here's the truth. All right, you're mine. I don't care about him.
Right.
Like, I mean, I care about him because he matters to you, kind of.
Yeah.
But, girl, let's go.
Even Xaden can't even talk to Sigale. She's right now totally, like, not communicating with him, which I'm also a little bit confused about. Like, so obviously they don't have their mind connection going, but, like,
You've got blocks.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, and he has power just independently. I don't know. It's just a little confusing.
No, I think he can still draw a bit of power. I think that she's just heartbroken.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I get. That's the sense that I get. And he also is trying to be selective with how much he pulls because he's been at the front line, and the only way he's going to be on the front line is with his dragon.
Oh, true.
But I think there's this sense of betrayal and this concern because he hasn't fully turned. People aren't sure about that. And it seems very specific that the Venin pull their power differently than the dragons, that they pull it from the earth and things around them.
Right.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. But she isn't, you're right, there is this wall.
Because she's not communicating. He even says, like, she's not the one who told me you were in trouble when they go to the town.
She didn't want him to go.
Right. And so I'm just like, I'm a little confused on like the whole aspect of like where power's coming from and this and that. I do understand.
A little bit, I agree.
I understand like where Venin get their power and everything. It's just the relationship between the dragon and the rider. I guess I'm just a little murky on. Like Taryn goes unconscious for a little while and Violet has no power.
Yeah.
So that was scary.
Can't pull it from him.
Right.
Was hoping to get the second one, which was interesting from Indarna, but didn't.
Oh, right.
But was mostly concerned that Taryn had died. That was right leading. See, like such a big, like couple big things happened right before.
And if it's like not for book club and I'm reading on my own, I didn't do this, but like it was really hard for me not to be like, does Taryn die in Onyx Storm?
No,
I didn't. But like,
don't do
she
it.
did such a good job. Like, we were just talking about how like we're
I know.
waiting for something to go on. I'm reading and waiting, and I'm like,
Okay.
this is how we're starting. Taryn's gonna die.
Okay. I literally was like this. And anybody who is listening, my like eyes were glued to the pages and my eyes were welling up. I was like, no, don't die. How could you? And then I thought, well, technically he could because she has a second dragon.
Yeah, and then it would. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's just like that kind of relieves that whole problem of how her and Xaden can't be too far apart from each other because their dragons are mated. I'm
Don't
like,
do
what
it.
is Rebecca doing?
I know. Well, she's if she had done that, she's doing what everybody doesn't want her to do, but she'd have a reason for it. But I don't. I mean, that's what keeps you reading, though, right? And that's what makes those moments like so big because you're like, please don't do it. No way could you.
I was already like so beyond. I was just already moving on to forgiveness. I was forgiving Rebecca for taking Taryn from us as I was reading.
Throw the book on the ground and John Wick it. Like seriously, the beginning of John Wick, we've talked about it in the previous episode. I was ready to turn it off. I was crying. My dog was crying. I turned to Casey. I was like, how could you? How could you make me watch this? She was like, just give it a chance.
So did you give Rebecca a chance?
I did.
Obviously you did.
And Taryn was still alive, which is good. Because he's the ultimate badass.
No, he is.
I think he's my favorite now.
He's my favorite too. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
However, Adarna, this little sassy girl, I like her.
Oh my gosh, I love her commentary, and I'm listening to the Audible for a majority of it, and just like this little tweak that the narrator does in her voice, it's giving like teenager, like sass.
Cool.
It's perfect.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's speak about Adarna real quick. You had a question, right, about like her scales or something?
Oh, I was just like a little confused again. I'm murky from the very end of the last book. So is she completely black now, or does she only turn black sometimes? Like I'm confused on her evolution.
I think she's like a chameleon.
Okay.
That's why like when she was hiding, it was rocks, but Vi still knew that her presence was there because she has the connection with Adarna.
Right.
And then it's almost like a mirror, like that remember how in the archives she sees a translucent?
Yes.
And I think that's how she represents herself.
That makes
like,
sense.
She's more like mirror-like, translucent, but can chameleon and adapt to what's necessary.
Which is so cool.
It is so badass. It is. That was clever. Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay, so since you're fresher in the two previous books, did we already know the concept of Irid?
No.
Okay.
So that was like not a name that we knew.
I didn't recognize it. I'm like, did I just forget? Okay.
So for our listeners, talk about that Venom scene because it was wicked.
Okay, so we have Theophany, I think.
Good job for you.
I don't know.
I'm calling her Theo.
Okay, Theo. I listened and I want to say they said it like Theophany or something like that. So she has silver hair, which Violet noticed when they were down with Jack for that first encounter with Venom, which was crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
Venom can just like come in, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I will say that was startling. There are some jarring parts.
When we go back and think about it, I'm okay, the whole thing was great.
Maybe it was just a tough week.
I think I just needed to get into it.
Yeah.
Myself, not Rebecca.
Okay,
great
so
job.
Spoiler alert, Venom had infiltrated the campus, were disguising themselves as Justinians. Scribes. That's how I relate them now.
Yeah.
As scribes, and had murdered all of these cadets that were
like
in the hospital.
Yes.
And they're like pulling back the sheets and seeing that. And the only way they know is because they were trying to get Jack out, right?
They
Something
were
like that?
with Sawyer, I think, right? Weren't they first with Sawyer or no?
I can't remember.
I think, no, they were with Sawyer because they were in the infirmary when they heard the scream, and that's how they were able to also make sure, because Sawyer's in the infirmary and he didn't get eaten or turned or anything. But then they went to Jack because they were like, oh, are they here to get Jack out?
Yeah. And I'm also so happy that you kept Sawyer.
Oh, yeah. For now.
Cool.
I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, for
but
now.
mean, he's retired now, and they do like kind of just touch on retired writers, which pretty much means you can't.
But he still has his purpose, which is dope.
Yeah, that was cool. The whole metal thing.
The whole metal thing. Okay, back to the Venom.
So then they're down with Jack, and then there's these like super cool Venom, honestly. Like one just like disappears and reappears. And then we have the one with the silver hair. And
So we're
obviously
learning they're more powerful than
exactly.
we thought.
And I think Violet's getting a little intrigued too because there's like somebody like her, a lightning wielder. Like, did we not even know Venom could wield, right?
Yeah.
And now Violet's like, oh shoot.
And it's the one that she has history with. So it's almost like it is bringing back past experiences. Okay. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Keep going.
No, that's all. I mean, I was just going to say the silver hair, the lightning, they're...
She could have killed him.
Yeah.
Her and not Riddick,
the other one.
Garrick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I want to talk about it all, but like that particular scene made me just kind of think about like the future and like we were so quick. I shouldn't say quick. It didn't happen that quickly, but like Violet being an open-minded gal, falling in love with Xaden, was able to say, oh, okay, these Griffin Promish people, like all the other people who have been enemies for my entire life are now part of our crew. We're going to protect them. We're going to work together for this other common enemy. Are we ever going to get to a place where like some Venom are acceptable? I mean, obviously Xaden's already kind of turning and he is. Like, I'm just really interested to see what she does.
Okay, this is what I'll say, Ashley. My thoughts flittered there.
Okay.
Briefly.
In that conversation she has with Theo, I'm just like, wait a second. Is there a bigger future here?
So I think the biggest difference, though, isn't necessarily the idea of giving someone's soul away, but they've caused a lot of harm.
Totally.
And they are still seeking power, not as a competition of who has the most power, but to control everything else.
Right.
Is what it seems like so far, but you're right. Is there going to be a different perspective in there? I don't know. Our Venom, I mean, that's the concept, right? Is someone who has essentially sold their soul unsavable, unredeemable.
Right.
I mean, but she also killed Marin's family, right?
Well, not the whole family.
Except, as alluring.
Uh-huh.
So
and
it's
she
kind of
really
like,
thought she was doing everybody a favor by leaving the twins alive.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, too, the Venom have like a bigger plan.
Yeah, but you're right, though. Rebecca, she is playing with all these different ideas because she even mentioned how Jack, through Jack mentioned, the dragons want you to think that your power is limited to them, or it doesn't have to be. It's all these ideas of what control is. However, you still have Vi as the character, the light, the goodness, you have a choice. You don't have to choose evil. You can, you manifest destiny, right? Like you can choose what's right for you, and it should be what's right for others as well. Like she's the heart, right?
Right. And that's true that you say that too, because in my head, I'm living in a world of all possibilities. And I'm like, okay, so let's just say, because obviously the Venom want Violet, they want Xaden, whatever.
Right.
Let's just say there's a world in which Violet and Xaden say, okay, you know what? Sold. I'll switch over. Like, I can't imagine that there's like some common... I mean, maybe there is, but I just can't see a world in which everybody's essentially Venom because all they want to do is like keep soaking up and greed, and hunger. So that doesn't seem sustainable. Like if you're like a sage or whatever, and you're like King Venom, let's just say, whoever that is.
Well, they're destroying the land while they do it too.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, there's only so much of their planet or whatever it is they live on. So I can't see why they would just want to keep getting more and more and more.
You know what? I think it's probably just offered there is that contrast, that thought and that contrast. And then knowing who Vi is, there may be a moment where, maybe there is that thought that flitters of, this is a person of some sort, just like how she had thought with Jack on the dragon and then was like, no, this is why it has to happen. So maybe it's just setting up to have that moment where you think about that, but then there is no world where you can just keep taking and taking. You have to live in balance.
And that's why it's so dire.
Like Star Wars. I'm just going to put it out there. Light side and dark side. You can't just all have the dark side.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's the whole, that's what so many stories are based on.
And then you add some sexy time in there. But circling back, I think, you can't just have. They were at a point where it was like love and be loved and a happy fairy tale ending, technically, right?
Right.
And so you create the problem so that you could build the tension again. So
That's true, Rebecca.
I know. Okay, so I have to ask you because Dane has been redeemed,
Okay.
obviously, right?
Yes.
Do you think there's any sexy time future in this is where I don't want Rebecca to go, but if she were to keep if there were to be 13 of these, right?
Right.
Is there a world where Xaden no longer exists and Dane is there? Or is there a world where temporarily Xaden's gone and Dane is there?
I honestly don't think it's Dane. But I feel, and I don't know, it's just so hard
Second
because
fiddle.
their love is just, and by they, I mean Violet and Xaden. Their love is
Oh, yeah.
just so, I'll die for you like a
Right.
million times over, whatever. But like, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing like something with a different character, not even Dane. Like, I feel like there was a little bit of tension with Arik in one of the other books. I don't know if I'm making that up or remembering
That's
it
what I'm saying.
incorrectly.
There is
Like, there could be
Yeah.
somebody else, like maybe that.
all of Team Xaden right now who's listening to this is like, screw you girls, I'm out.
I don't
No,
know.
you were thinking it too, though.
Yeah, this goes back to my what would Ashley do?
Who would Ashley do?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, well, Xaden's kind of, marred. We're moving on.
Okay, but
No.
okay, so knowing Vi, though,
not
the
Dane.
only world where somebody else could fill that place is if Xaden's out of the world, right?
And he even says, and this caught me, and I think I even mentioned it on TikTok. I think it was like the second chapter, Xaden kind of, and it might not be alluding to anything, it might not be foreshadowing, but he sort of, and he talks about it again actually in his letter from the front lines, that he could, and I'm paraphrasing, but he could be like the king of the Venom and he would still like love Violet. And I'm just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then he says, that's why it's so dangerous, because his love is actually becoming dangerous because
I'm not giving up,
when
Ashley.
she's in a bad position, he's like, I would have like drained the entire world just to save you, which like, I don't know, like, why do you keep saying stuff like this?
So do you know? Because he has to. Because that's how tormented he is.
Okay.
And we like the tormented ones.
Yeah.
Because something, sexy about it. Okay.
I know. It's not foreshadowing.
I have a thought, though.
Okay.
I have a thought. How about instead of like Vi having to, get with someone else, what if we just make some of the other characters a little bit more involved? Like, I'd like to know more about Imogen. I like her.
Obviously. And actually, I remember from the first time that you even picked up Fourth Wing, or I wanted you to, I was kind of like thinking, because I just felt like Imogen would be a gal you'd be interested in. I won't go into any more details than that, but I
want to know why.
I do.
Because she's badass.
I feel like they're probably, we never see like she's more of like a one night stand kind of gal. She
Yeah, but
doesn't
let's
really
get
get
some more.
involved, but I would love to see some more relationships. But the whole thing is we have so many Griffin writers who are going to be
Love
hopefully
it.
coming in.
Yep.
It's said that they're going to be filling up those empty seats. There's going to be new characters. So maybe I want to see like a writer and what are the Griffin writers called? Not writers. Whatever. I want to see a dragon flyer.
Yeah.
A writer and a flyer get together.
Yeah.
Or like many of them.
I mean,
all at once. No, just kidding.
Okay, so what's the deal with Marin?
Yeah, I don't know. What is the deal with her?
I don't know. I like her.
And what's the deal with Kat?
Yeah, I'm starting to like her too.
I know.
Okay. To a more important thought that I had, because I think about you, Ashley, while I'm reading this, which is super fun in certain parts. Other parts, not so much. Other parts I save for myself. And so getting back to what I was trying to say. Sorry, I'm lost in the sauce. What were we talking about?
We were talking about relationships. You asked me if I thought that Violet and Dane might ever.
Right.
I don't know. Well, we can move on.
This is how my brain works. No, but it was really important. Okay. So we had made a prediction, or we had talked briefly about in the last book how Second Signet, we think it hasn't manifested, but she had that dream, and like between 80 and 100, she has another dream.
Right.
And it's grabbing the photo, and Kat's involved in it.
Right.
I originally thought, as we were going through the adventure, I had two thoughts. Was it Marin? Was she in somebody else's future moment? Was she in Xaden's moment? Is it only Xaden? Like, is she, does she foresee the future, but because she doesn't realize it's her second signet, she's not controlling it? I mean, come on,
Okay,
Ashley.
there's so many things I hope I don't forget because you just blew my world.
That's
First
why.
thing-
That's why I appreciated your patience when I was like, I had a thought. What was it? It was important.
So glad you brought this up. So first thing I will say is I was listening to the audiobook for that transition, reading, and then the dream starts, and I had to go back and be like, did I accidentally hit my phone and skip something? So I was like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
And so I went back and then I listened. I was about to open up the book and make sure, but then I realized it's a dream. And then in my head, I'm like, oh no, we're coming on to the second.
Right.
Because this is happening again. And then I'm not as a critical reader because never once did I put two and two together that it probably is Marin.
Maybe.
And she's looking through her view because it was super confusing. Ree's like, oh yeah, Kat, new besties sharing the room, whatever. And
but
then
Bluefire is
the
dragons,
wyvern.
Right? The wyvern, yeah. Not
And
dragons. Adarna made sure to make sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like thinking more and more, and they're describing the photo, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is just a dream because that doesn't apply to Violet, but it does apply to Marin. Not sure on the pronunciation, I forgot. So that is definitely pointing to.
But was it or was it not her? Because then you kind of also, because they called Kat like the future.
Oh, there was that part.
Like that.
Oh, yeah, there was that.
That was just kind of like my brain going through things because I thought, okay, if this is Marin, then we're going to cut to the scene where they're trying to evacuate people, and they never did that. Everybody ended up just meeting up. You know what I mean?
I feel like it could have still been a
premonition.
Future, yeah, exactly. Like a future situation in which Marin is still trying to get that picture. I don't know about that conversation though. I mean, I guess we don't really know.
Yeah.
It could be something, about the whole taking the title thing. It does make sense. I don't know. I could see there being a twist about Kat becoming the royalty without it having to be through being in a relationship with Xaden. Like
I think
there's
so too.
a way around that for sure. The other thing that this just reminded me of is second signets in the marked ones.
Relics.
Yes.
Yeah. That all of them have that.
I don't think all of them, well, maybe they all do, but Xaden, well, maybe just the knowledge of all of them having it isn't out there yet because Xaden did specifically say, like, there's enough of them, but there's enough of them that don't have a second one to where me not having a second one is believable.
Right.
I don't know if I
it
articulated
might have had to do
that
with
very
the family
clearly, but
sacrifice.
yeah,
we're not sure
so
yet.
Some do, some don't, but maybe they all will end up. I don't know. Whatever it is, a lot of them are special, and it's super, super cool that Garrett can like move. As a walker, can like move across land. At, like
I love the magic behind it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to throw in there? Oh yeah, okay, that's normal.
Yeah, and I loved how Rebecca just like had him show up because I totally was like, where is this going and how's Violet going to get out of this?
Yes. And I love how you say Rebecca because it's like she's here. She's a part of Babs. She's like our bestie. I love how we talk about her. Hey, Rebecca. We love what you're doing.
We do. And not that you asked, but now that I think about it, Garrett has really been like standing up for Violet and like kind of being like around a lot.
Okay. Which brings me to, who are your new favorite characters and what would you do if you were Vi?
Well, I guess, Xaden is still Xaden.
Yeah.
Venom or not.
Mm-hmm.
So like ride or die for Xaden. But there's just like, it's such a cool experience to be surrounded by all these people.
Yeah. And I like learning more about them.
Yeah, no, I really do
It's
too.
cool.
But I think Xaden is still, OTP, one true person.
Hashtag OTP.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh gosh, it was a lot. Back to the dragons though. I gotta know. Like there was this safety blanket that I had reading the first two because I would look at you and you pretty much reassured me that they were going to be okay. Do you I mean, right?
Well,
And so
okay.
Ashley's finishing my thoughts. I'll just say it. What's going to happen? And Darna, Taryn, what do you want to see happen? Let's just stay with where we want to see
Okay,
things.
that's better.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see everybody live happily ever after. I want to see baby griffin dragons like when Donkey and Dragon have babies in Shrek. That's what I'd love to see. I will say that like we haven't even gotten into, and I don't even know if it'll happen in this book. I have a feeling, honestly, that it probably won't. But I would really like to see like the rest of Andarna's kind, these Irids or whatever they are, the seventh species or seventh kind.
There is that comment though that someone makes, like, if dragons don't want to be found.
That's what I was just going to say. It was Taryn. He was like, well, if they are secluding themselves, it's for a reason, and they're not going to be welcoming. And like we're pissed
and
that
they're
they
dragons.
left. Yeah, and we're pissed that they left. I'm pretty sure he said.
Did they leave if they could be incognito?
I don't know. Maybe they're all around us. That's a great point.
I don't know.
Maybe the last place you. Okay, I was going to try to say something.
Do you think
cool.
she'll find out that she's the last of her kind?
Well, I think there was a point where that was what we thought, right?
Yeah.
In the last book.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's potential that there's more of them.
They're just hoping that.
I don't know.
And the whole other library, because, that so much happened in such a short time. The Queen of the Flyers realized that Vi had done that and saved them.
Just for information.
And was like, you think that they have the better books, but I got thousands, girl.
I liked her.
I do too. I want to see more of her.
Yeah, I bet we will.
Okay. And how venom is Aiden, though?
I mean, venom enough to where he has to now seclude himself, because when he was in battle and he used his strengths, we're thinking that he, what is it called? Channeled? Whatever it is when you're sucking out the energy. What is that called?
Yeah, but don't be an Anakin. Like, I'm sorry. Currently, Rebecca, we're friends. But if you pull too much on the Star Wars, like with Anakin becoming Vader, like, you don't have to go full venom.
Yeah, no, I would.
You never go full venom.
Never go full venom. Merch idea.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll
cannot
just leave it
find
at that.
online. But no, I think that it's a great plot line to have him like infected in the first place or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that if there's anybody who could either turn venom as a society better or like get control of it, it's Xaden. But there is this recurring thing, like Garrett keeps talking about, Xaden keeps talking about, that Xaden, the king of control, is having a hard time with this.
Does he kill himself before he can?
I wonder.
Does he do a Romeo?
No, I don't think he would do that. But I do think that he would like sacrifice himself in a different way.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
he kind of did that in the first place,
I guess
right?
that's true. That's how we're here.
And then I have to know, Ashley, other thoughts that I was having. Vi, right? I thought Xaden was going to get tired of her being like, oh, yeah, I'm saying I'm doing this, but really I'm doing whatever I want. And he kind of likes it.
Yeah, he's turned on.
Okay.
So, like,
are you getting tired of it?
I'm not getting tired of it at all. I kind of feel like there's this thing happening where she's doing what she says she's not going to do, or like she's just doing like rebellious, badass, if you will, stuff. And I kind of got this vibe, maybe because I'm listening and not reading in this portion, but I'm kind of getting this vibe where he's like, maybe I'm like reading into this too much, but I feel like his sort of like evilness as being part venom is kind of like liking this like rebellious thing she's doing.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Like,
now I am.
I think it's like when at the end of chapter 11, when he goes in for the kiss after he's super mad, like I felt like now like his new kink is like her being bad. I mean, he always was kind of like that.
Interesting.
But now I feel like it's just a little bit more like he likes it more because he's got this like chip on his evil little shoulder thing. I don't know.
Okay, so honestly, would you prefer more drama, more kink, or finding the cure?
Well, I'm like interested in the cure for sure. I'm just more interested in learning about the dragons, and I'm interested in learning about like venom motives.
Team Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put your arms up, Ashley.
Oh, also too, like, are we ever gonna
He's gonna put their arms down first.
I'm not going to.
Right.
I've been going to the gym, you guys. And I'm wearing black so you can't see my pit stains. My last thought is, are we ever gonna hear from a wyvern?
Oh.
And
like
we can end
in
it
their
with that.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
those poor guys.
yeah.
Yeah. And these adults, older Atos, I hate you. I
Oh,
hope a dragon
him.
eats you. I hope they all eat you.
I also, while we're talking about
yeah,
that
let's talk
guy,
about all the adults we don't like. I mean, technically they're all adults, which is cool.
Yeah.
But the old people who suck.
yeah, Atos, every time he had anything to say, I honestly pictured him like in the movie that's not made about this book yet. You know, I'm just like, this guy is going
Like
to
how,
be
why? Professor Snape.
such an asshole. Like, I hate him. I hate him.
Yes.
And someone brought up a good point. Like, how did Dane turn out halfway decent with this guy?
Yeah, I like how they they play him.
Mhm.
They do like there's a lot of smart little moves that were pre-thought that I thought were baller in it. To your point though about like how did Dane, and then Violet goes, because he had my dad too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
Touching.
Dang.
Oh, and how about that little excerpt that was recovered correspondence between Violet's parents about Violet's taste in men?
Oh yeah.
That was weird. Like, where did that come from?
Okay, so you kind of know who she's dated before, but you kind of don't.
Right.
And she has friction and tension with some of these people that you don't necessarily like.
True.
Does she have a history with Haldon?
It seems like it, right?
I don't know.
I think
maybe my brain's not working correctly.
well,
but
because she's
are we
so
gonna find out?
adamant that like the way he's described is just like this person that I feel like we already don't like.
Yeah, did I miss something?
Well, I do know that he
I can't
has
remember.
a reputation as like the king's son. He has a certain type of reputation. I don't know if it's just like emboldened and cocky and whatever.
Have we met him before?
I don't think so.
I feel like she has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun.
Interesting.
Okay, so I mean that was a good long time. What are you thinking?
I think that was great.
Where do we want to go? Another 100?
I'm down.
Okay, and then we'll touch base with you guys though, because like if it starts to pick up,
Right.
which I'm feeling.
I know. I just like every week I say that was a rough one and then the next one is a little bit rougher. So I would love to say let's do 100 and I think we'll probably end up going further. In my other book, I don't really have that much to go.
Mine's gonna be done. Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Cool. I love it. Oh my gosh. And I'll try so hard not to text you off pod about like what's happening, but no promises because it is starting to cook. It's getting hot.
Well, it's okay. And now I like can't wait to hear what happens to Evie Porter. I can't wait to hear what happens to Kit.
I am
Who's the
into
killer?
it.
Who is the
I'm glad we threw some thrillers in here. We might have to do even more murder later. There's this podcast that I love. You listen to Crime Junkie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Another Ashley.
Yeah, and it just became like after the first week, Ashley Flowers, Crime Pot. What is it?
Crime Junkies?
Yeah, the Crime Junkies. She wrote a book as well, so shout out to them. And yeah, first week it's like New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to do that one, but we're not gonna get ahead of ourselves. We won't do that because I feel like the storm is a brewing.
And I feel like we're in a really good place. Like we
Yeah.
have nothing but greatness coming out of Rebecca's always to get into. I'm really excited for the ending of mine. You're really excited for the ending of yours. Like,
Yeah.
can I just shout out, not that, every book isn't great, but I'm just so happy to be here. And not 3 pods ago.
Oh my gosh. Amen to that. Thank God's. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, and we'll see you guys all back at Babs next week.
Bye.
Bye.